In this episode of Leadership Speaks, I chat with the legendary Mr. Kushal Singh of DLF, known as the man who imagined and built his own city on land when nothing existed. My family and I were on vacation recently when we decided to stop at a local restaurant. By pure luck, Mr. KP Singh also happened to be there. We were delighted and honored to be introduced to him by the humble restaurant owner. As we briefly chatted, I requested Mr. Singh for an interview and he agreed. This interview was pure good luck. Mr. Singh was also so gracious to accept my request and further so great a human to invite me to his home for tea, to interact and encourage unknown youngsters before, like myself, and give me personal guidance before the Zoom interview that you shall now watch. It was just good luck for me and him being simply a great human and leader. Mr. KP Singh is the Indian billionaire real estate developer, chairman and CEO of real estate giant DLF Limited. His autobiography, Whatever the Odds, tells of his life story where against all the odds, he built something truly great by overcoming hardships throughout his life. When Mr. KP Singh imagined building Gurgaon City in the late 70s, no one had the vision or foresight to see the incredible growth it would bring to DLF and to the whole country. With a bit of good luck and a lot of hard work, he made an impossible dream a reality. Let's hear Mr. KP Singh's incredible leadership story in this episode of Leadership Speaks. So my first question is, there are 82,000 plus real estate companies in India. How does DLF differentiate from them?
You see, Rehan, ever since this company started, historically, soon after independence, but then it's closed down for nearly 3 decades because government nationalized the business. Then I restarted in 75. But one dictum, one motto has always been that we have to be 100% compliant with the laws of the land. Compliance is ingrained in DLF as a way of life, number one. Number two, when you do business with somebody, remember, a successful business is that when everybody makes profit, not only you. So our whole pricing policy is such that the person whom we are doing business, he must make profit also. Not only as a customer, but even a supplier, even suppliers, and also make handsome profit, and contractors always. I mean, anybody associating must gain from our association. So we have followed this, and one very important thing is we have always held moral values and ethics ahead of our greed of business. Three things. We have done it successfully, so therefore we have remained alive. We remained as a most sought-for brand, where others did not do that, because there were no laws to tame them. Now the new law RERA has come in about a few years back. Now that has tamed all the wrong builders. So now they are doing it the right way. But it'll take them decades to build up a reputation. DLF built reputation from the day one. So that is the reason.
Right. That's amazing, sir, because now, keeping in mind with having your moral values and business greed these days is a lot. So that DLF managed to not get greedy and always keep their morals is amazing.
Yeah, that's correct. That has been the principal difference moral values, ethics in business, and remaining 100% compliant with the laws of the land has been the essence of success of the area.
Right. So my second question for you is, how did you identify Gurgaon as a residential slash metropolitan office city? And now it is even an upcoming food and shopping hub.
Okay, for that, I'll take a minute to explain this. You see, when I started this, actually 75, 77, at that time, the business of urban land development was nationalized, means private sector could not do. I got in with accidentally with Rajiv Gandhi, accidentally, purely luck. But then I wanted to identify what do I want to do. So for that, I made a deep study. Deep study was this. Historically, over centuries, not years, not decades, centuries, how has Delhi expanded? So if you see carefully, Delhi's expansion has been quite substantial during Mughal days. In Mughal days, it was Red Fort, Jama Masjid, Red Fort, Daryaganj.
Right.
And thrust was toward there. There was nothing called New Delhi. New Delhi is a later phenomenon by British days. So actually, the Daryaganj was the northmost, the southmost point, and rest was all towards going towards Chandni Chowk and towards toward this towards Ambala. The whole area was there. But that was a time during Mughal days. Then came British people, East India, British people. They decided to make New Delhi, what we call Luton's Delhi.
Right.
Initially, because they wanted to live in a better environment and create spaces for more modern living than what Mughals were trying to do. So expansion of Delhi then took place towards the New Delhi, we call it now. And New Delhi means come towards this side, as we know, Rashtrapati Bhavan and this area, and then further up. So immediately after the partition of India, certain more growth took place, not very much towards the Daryaganj and that side, because there was a few model towns and a couple of things. But substantial part of Delhi expansion grew towards, from here, toward Defense Colony, toward this, towards what you call towards Faridabad side.
Right.
That direction. Now, why did they not go toward the east? East means toward Jamna river, because there is a river Jamna, you can't cross Jamna. So the expansion of Delhi did not take place, except some odd thing, Dilshad, Shadra, that kind of stuff, but did not take place because of the barrier of Jamna. Then the barrier came around, was also a little bit of Aravali Hills in the south side. But then when you look at the thing, you found now where the growth is going to take place. So by examination, it came to me that inevitably growth will take place towards Jaipur side. So when you see Jaipur, towards Jaipur side, it's clear. There is no Aravali Hills toward that area. In fact, the fag end of Aravali comes where the new Gurgaon is. Nothing. Then there is no other, there is no river. So actually the growth was toward that. So when I identify this aspect, I went there and I found that the area bordering Delhi, which was Haryana state, were all full of ravines. It was not a state like this. It was full of ravines, wild, totally, completely. Hardly any activity taking place, some few little farming, but very little. The rest of it are barren. So I thought that this is the area where I can develop a city.
Right.
And as luck would have it, it's only by luck, nothing else. Rajiv Gandhi, who was then not in the government, happened to pass through that place. And my encounter with him set birth to the new urban land development policy of India. Had it not happened, perhaps neither Gurgaon would have come in, nor the growth would have happened. So this is a deep research went into where is the growth, and then I saw the area was full of ravines. I said, it doesn't matter, we can level it up. There's the cost of this thing. So a lot of people told me I'm mad because leveling ravines, hills, but completely astronomical cost. But somehow I believe that if I do it well, I'll succeed. So I took risks, frankly, against all logical advice. But I was convinced that this is the right way to do. And history has shown now I was right.
Right. So that's such an interesting story. And so you talked about meeting Rajiv Gandhi coincidentally and as luck. So your book talks about luck and destiny a lot. For example, this instance. Do you believe these are instances of luck or something you manifested over time?
I do believe one thing. This question is often asked to me. Now, mind you, I'm not a religious man, not at all. I've not been to temple. I don't know what my religion is, frankly. I'm a Hindu, but I believe in one philosophy, and that apparently is a great philosophy of Gita. That is, you do good things for people if you can. Somehow, God helps you. If you cheat somebody, somehow events become such that God will hit you back, both sides. So I followed this route. Not somebody told me, not somebody imposed me, but I got inbuilt into me a system of doing good things. So therefore, I would say, I think it is God's or some Almighty, by accident or by chance, he happened to pass through. So I would call it by chance and by accident of life. And that was, you call that made, it's called a destiny, whatever you call it. But it was not planned, it just happened. So I will give it to God Almighty to make such thing for me, which enabled me to take my dream forward. If it had not happened, my dream would have remained a dream. It couldn't have been turned into reality.
Wow. So talking about the past and about your instance in meeting Rajiv Gandhi, if you had the option, would you go back to the past and change any specific decision you made that would have further affected you today for the positive?
Yes, yes, definitely. Actually, when I started Gurgaon, because Rajiv Gandhi was alive,
Right.
so he told me, he said, KP, do something. So I just said, let me do something, which is correct. So I planned city in a different manner. My planning was, what you see the roads today, for example, generally roads are 12 meters, 15 meters wide. My road was 36, 48 meters. Means double the width.
Right.
Why? Because if you see Luton's Delhi today was conceived by Mr. Edward Luton 150 years back. 150 years back when there was no movement of cars. But he had a vision that you need broader roads. So all the roads in New Delhi you see are very broad versus all the roads of the new development are very narrow. So I disagreed with the government quite a lot on this one. I said, no, there is no shortage of land. Let's follow the same principle, wide roads, low densities, and more area to cover.
Right.
Rajiv Gandhi was in harmony with me. So that I would have created something magic, more greenery, more things. But unfortunately, when he died, as you know, by accident he died, the whole system changed. Political people came. One Mr. Bansilal, who was the chief minister, I written a chapter in the book. He was all hell-bent in undoing what was done. So he made the road back to a narrow. So therefore, there's nothing I could do because it's government dominating planning. You have to follow what the government says. Like Rajiv Gandhi's plan was, frankly, to connectivity from Delhi to Gurgaon was not like this. No. I was sent to Korea, because I was great. He said, go and study Korea, go and study Malaysia. When used to go to Malaysia, Korea, Singapore, I used to take one or two planners with me, architects, just to study. And I found their roads, connectivity to main city, very wide, broad. So when I came back, the police said, then do it. And the whole idea was connectivity from Delhi today to Gurgaon is through a 6-lane highway. 3 lane on one side, 3 lane on the other side. 6 lane. My plan was 16 lane. 8 lane this side, 8 lane the other side. And proposal was, it is government land, government road. We will construct it at our cost. At our cost, on government land, let the road remain with government. But something which is like Luton did, something like what Malaysia is doing, something like Korea is doing it. There's no reason why we can't do it. Can you imagine the connectivity of a 16-lane highways, both sides? That, and then in internal 36 meters, that would have been as good as the best city in the world. But alas, I couldn't do it. I regret. But it was not in my hand. My hands were chopped off by the government. So I had to do what the government says. It's unfortunate that in India, the planning is dominated by government bodies. And as a private person, you've got very little to do. So this is, I would have, if I were given a chance, I would have done it back again.
Amazing. So one question I really wanted to ask you was, having started with a humble background, do you believe it is possible in the real estate industry today to start with a minimal bank balance and still make it, or have times changed? Of course, we see this in the IT world and hear success stories, but do you believe this same is possible in real estate today?
You see, Rehan, everything is possible in life, provided you have the following. First, you have to be hungry to succeed. If you are affluent, you cannot succeed. Affluent means plenty than normal, but hungry means you want to succeed. A burning desire to succeed, you are number one. I believe burning desire comes from a basic ability to take risks in your life. Right. Some people can take risks, some people don't take risks. I have this uncanny thing. I took so many risks, as you read my book. I was often on a crossroad of, right, if you take a radial road on the right side, success, left side, down completely, hell, bankrupt. So either way, I could have gone. Several times you saw, I was on the verge of being arrested. Several times it happened. But I didn't give up because I had commitment and I had my convinced that I will succeed. Means you have to have courage. To do that courage, ability to take risks, then a, a inbuilt uh, uh, process in you to be to be highly compliant with the laws. Laws means tax-wise, planning-wise, whatever the law is, compliant, 100% compliant. And lastly, my dictum of ethics and morality comes ahead of my greed for profits. These are inbuilt things in a human being. And I practice this. There's some kind of almighty power helps you. Money start pouring in, as you've seen in my question, in my book, you have seen. From nothing, I started succeeding. But I had always this value. Nobody can ever tell me. I hope I would, frankly, I always say, please come and tell me if anybody, have I cheated anyone in my life? Have I been ever prosecuted for any offense? Have I done anything wrong? Inadvertently, yes, everybody can make mistakes. But deliberately, no. If I made mistake, I'll correct myself. So frankly, these are the ingrained things. Money then flows. So it is not, yes, if you have money, nothing like it. Your base is big, then you become bigger. But to get out of small base into something, you have to work very hard, take risks. And mind you, all risks don't succeed. Some land into failures also. So when you land into failures, you should not be dejected. But because there is a process of life. One more thing which I learned from my mentors, you must make mistakes. Encourage people to take mistakes. Honest mistakes versus people who are scared to make a mistake. Scared to take a mistake means they will not grow. But if you make a mistake, then followed immediately with it, an ability to learn from that mistake lessons and ensure that you don't repeat it again, you will be a success story. So this is a very important thing for young people to realize. Have courage to make mistakes. No problem. But learn fast that what lessons do you learn out of the mistake.
Right.
And in future, avoid repeating the same. That way, sure, person succeeds. I practice that.
So I will definitely keep these 4 points in mind, especially the point. So making mistakes is fine, but we have to realize not to make the same mistakes again. So I will definitely keep that in mind. So my last question for you, a little off topic, is what is one hobby you cherished and has been beneficial to you in your everyday / entrepreneurial life?
You see, I have been a very good sportsman. My life, you see, started with tennis. I was a person with very meager means, and as you saw, I started my life, my initial schooling in the madrasa for all the damn places for a few months. Then, like a normal school, I would not call it, I was an outstanding academic brilliance, but I always used to pass first class, but I say upper end of an average, but not super genius. No, my academic performance was just satisfactory. But I was very good in sports. From any sports, whether it was hockey, in school, basketball, but I was good in tennis. Then I was very good. I was a very good horseman. I was a very good polo player. You see how my life went into a different direction.
Right.
And now, as my age grew, I became fond of golf. So I follow golf even now. So I would say a constant sportsman activities has been one of the essence of my life. And I also believe one thing very strongly, that you see, as young people, before that, my second hobby, which is independent, is I love listening to music, because wherever I have opportunity, we have sing song together, mostly light music, not one of those fancy, but wherever I go, I have friends organize music things. I love listening to lovely songs. They're not ghazals, this kind of life. So, means I have zest for life. So, unless you have the following qualities, initial stage of your life, work hard, have vision to succeed, make mistakes, don't repeat them, be highly compliant, pay taxes, pay this thing, and grow your business, be hungry. But a time comes in your life when you cannot keep doing this all the time. Like in my case, I'm now 92 years old. So I have gone through this mill, created DLF with my sheer hard work and this. But equally during time, I was also enjoying myself also. Because in the evening, there was hardly an evening, just 2 hours. When I was not with friends, just to lighten me and my wife, late wife, were very good in this one. We used to meet around music and all this kind of thing. And now, I call it play hard. Work hard, be compliant, pay taxes, grow in your thing. But when you retire, then don't give up life. Then play hard also. Enjoy for whatever time you have. So I do have. That's why when you saw me south of France on the restaurant, it was pursuit of that. I travel, meet friends. Somebody said, oh my God, at your age, there's a lot of people at my age are sick in bed. I said, to hell with it, I'm not sick in bed. I have zest for life. So a person should have zest for life till whatever time you are alive. You can't give up in life. So this is my essence of life.
Okay, sir. I will definitely keep all of this in mind. And this was such an amazing interview. Thank you so much for this
Okay, thanks. Best of luck.
And that concludes my chat with legendary Mr. KP Singh. What an amazing experience this was for me. Here are two of my key learnings. First, entrepreneurs who don't have huge capital may have to have a greater hunger to succeed than those with comfortable finances. I had a fear that starting a business is only for those with huge capital to begin with. However, as Mr. Singh says, having a hunger to succeed is much more important. Having comfortable finances at the start could make us lazy and complacent. We must have confidence to start from lower levels, take risks, and climb up the hard way. Such people will have no problem raising capital later because they inspire confidence in the eyes of investors. Second, you must make mistakes and encourage others to have the same guts to make the mistakes. Otherwise, you cannot grow and will not learn. The only way to grow a business is to not be afraid of making wrong decisions. Without risk, there is no reward. Have courage to make mistakes, but also have the wisdom not to make the mistake again. This is the 14th inspiring interview with leaders who inspire me with their amazing life stories. If you enjoyed watching, please do hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll be releasing my next Leadership Speaks podcast very soon. Till then, think positive, have big goals, and focus on the road ahead.